Ever feel like you're constantly battling uphill, like life is just one challenge after another? Well, today we're going deep into Victor Lung's transformed struggles into opportunities for growth,
Okay.
to explore how those everyday struggles can actually be the keys to unlocking our potential.
It's easy to get swept up in the pursuit of success, wealth, and status, isn't it?
Right.
But Leung really challenges us to think about what a fulfilling life truly looks like.
He actually says we enter this world with nothing material and we leave with nothing material.
Right.
So if it's not about the stuff, then what is it about?
Leung's perspective is that true purpose lies in personal growth
Okay.
and contributing to something larger than ourselves.
Interesting.
Instead of chasing fleeting external achievements, the real journey is internal.
So how do we apply that to those everyday struggles we all face? Does he just mean we should, think positive thoughts and everything will magically get better?
It's a bit more nuanced than that. Leung compares challenges to tests that refine our character, like a blacksmith forging a stronger sword in the fire.
That's a powerful image.
Yeah.
But not everyone who goes through tough times comes out stronger. What's the difference?
The key is how we respond to those challenges. Instead of viewing setbacks as roadblocks, we can reframe them as stepping stones.
Okay.
Think of Nelson Mandela, imprisoned for 27 years.
Wow.
He could have easily succumbed to despair, but instead he used that time to study law, connect with fellow inmates, and cultivate his vision for a just South Africa.
Wow. 27 years. That's almost unfathomable.
Mm-hmm.
But it really highlights how our mindset shapes the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
We can't always control what happens to us, but we can control how we react.
Exactly. And that leads us to another fascinating aspect of Leung's work, the transformative power of work and reading.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me.
Oh, yeah.
I've always been a bit of a bookworm,
Ah,
but I've never really thought about how reading could be a tool for personal growth in the same way that working on a specific skill could be.
Leung argues that work, no matter how seemingly insignificant, can cultivate discipline, perseverance, and humility.
Interesting.
He emphasizes finding meaning in those daily tasks, seeing them as opportunities to hone our craft and our character.
So it's not just about the outcome, but about the process of learning and growing through dedicated effort.
Precisely.
Okay.
And reading plays a vital role in this process. In a world of constant distractions, Leung sees reading, especially engaging with quality literature, as a sanctuary for the mind.
It's like hitting the pause button on the chaos and diving into deeper truths, right?
Yeah.
I know when I get lost in a good book, it's like everything else fades away and I could just focus on the ideas and the story.
Yeah.
It's almost meditative.
That's a great way to put it. And it's that intentional engagement with knowledge and diverse perspectives that fuels our growth.
Yeah.
I'm curious, what's a skill you've worked hard to develop or a book that's had a profound impact on you?
You know, I've always loved to cook.
Aha.
It started as a necessity, but it's become this creative outlet for me. There's something so satisfying about taking raw ingredients and transforming them into something delicious
Right.
and maybe even a little bit beautiful.
And did that journey come without any burnt dishes or kitchen mishaps?
Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah.
There were plenty of times I wanted to just chuck the whole thing in the bin.
Mm-hmm.
But I think those struggles, those moments of frustration, are what make the successes even sweeter.
Exactly. And that's what Leung is getting at when he talks about work as a path to growth.
Okay.
It's those challenges, those moments where we want to give up,
Right.
that really test our mettle and force us to dig deeper.
And for me, those late nights hunched over a textbook in college were definitely character building.
Oh, yeah.
It's funny, the book that really shifted my perspective was actually a novel, The Alchemist, by Paulo Coelho.
That's a classic.
Nick.
What resonated with you about that story?
It's all about following your dreams
Mm-hmm.
and the idea that the journey itself is just as important as the destination.
Yeah.
It really sparked something in me.
That reminds me of a point Leung makes about the importance of aligning our actions with our values.
Oh.
It's not just about what we achieve, but how we go about achieving it.
So how do we take all of these pieces, embracing challenges, dedicating ourselves to work and reading and aligning our actions with our values, and actually weave them into a life of purpose?
Leung emphasizes that living with purpose isn't about some grand predetermined plan.
Okay.
It's about approaching each day with intention
Yeah.
and using every experience as an opportunity for growth.
Right.
Whether it's mastering a recipe, pursuing a passion project,
Mm-hmm.
or simply being present in our daily interactions.
He actually lays out 3 core principles, right?
Yeah.
Seeing challenges as opportunities for soul refinement, committing to lifelong learning,
Right.
and prioritizing what truly matters in life.
Yes.
Can we break those down a bit?
Absolutely.
I think they could really resonate with our listener.
Let's start with seeing challenges as opportunities for soul refinement. It's about shifting our perspective from seeing obstacles as roadblocks to seeing them as chances to learn, adapt, and become more resilient.
Okay.
Remember Mandela? He used his time in prison to cultivate his mind and spirit, ultimately emerging as a symbol of hope and forgiveness.
So it's not about pretending everything is sunshine and rainbows,
Right.
but about finding the opportunity for growth within the struggle itself.
Precisely. And that leads us to the second principle,
Okay.
committing to lifelong learning.
Right.
Liang sees work and reading as the 2 pillars of this commitment.
Okay.
Work, as we've discussed, is more than just a means to an end.
Right.
It's a training ground for developing discipline, perseverance, and humility.
Mm-hmm.
And reading, especially engaging with thought-provoking books,
Yeah.
allows us to expand our minds, gain new perspectives, and connect with deeper truths about ourselves and the world.
It's interesting because I think we often separate those 2 things,
Uh-huh.
work and learning. But Luong seems to be saying that they're actually intertwined,
Mhm.
that the best kind of work is the kind that challenges us to learn and grow.
Exactly. And that brings us to the third principle,
Okay.
prioritizing what truly matters.
Right.
It's about recognizing that true wealth lies not in material possessions,
Right.
but in the richness of our experiences, the depth of our relationships, and the impact we make on the world.
Yeah.
Loom reminds us that fame and fortune are fleeting,
Yeah.
but our character and our contributions endure.
So it's about living a life that's aligned with our values, a life that feels meaningful and purposeful,
Yes.
even if it doesn't always look like what society tells us success should be.
And that leads us to another key point that Leung highlights,
Yep.
the importance of self-reflection.
Yeah.
He encourages us to regularly step back and ask ourselves, what am I learning from my experiences? What brings me joy and fulfillment?
Yeah.
How am I using my talents and resources to make a positive difference?
It's like taking inventory of our lives and making sure we're on the right track, right?
Right.
But how do we actually put that into practice?
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day and lose sight of the bigger picture.
One of the most powerful tools Leung suggests is something he calls mindful moments.
Okay.
These are brief pauses throughout the day where we disconnect from the noise and distractions
Right.
and simply tune in to our inner selves.
So like taking a few minutes to meditate or go for a walk in nature
Yeah.
or just sit in silence and reflect.
Exactly. Those moments allow us to check in with our thoughts, emotions, and values
Mm-hmm.
and ensure that our actions are aligned with what truly matters to us.
That's actually something I've been trying to incorporate more into my own life.
Uh-huh.
I find that even just 5 minutes of quiet time in the morning
Mm-hmm.
can make a huge difference in how I approach the rest of my day.
It's those small, consistent actions that can create lasting change.
Yeah.
And that's what Luong emphasizes throughout his work. Transforming struggles into opportunities for growth isn't about some grand overnight transformation. It's about the daily practice of showing up, embracing challenges, learning from our experiences, and striving to live a life of purpose and meaning.
I love that the daily practice,
Yeah.
it takes the pressure off of having to have it all figured out
Mm-hmm.
and instead focuses on the journey of continuous growth.
Right.
So as we wrap up our exploration of these core principles, where do we go from here?
Well,
How do we take these ideas and apply them to our own lives in a concrete way? And it feels like we've uncovered so much already, from reframing challenges to the power of work and reading. Where does Lung suggest we go from here to really put these principles into practice?
he emphasizes that transformation isn't a one-time event, but a continuous process. He actually uses the analogy of a spiral staircase.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more about this spiral staircase.
Imagine each loop of the spiral represents a cycle of challenge, reflection, and growth. We face a struggle, we learn from it, we integrate those lessons, and then we're presented with a new, perhaps slightly more challenging set of circumstances.
So it's not about reaching some ultimate destination, but about constantly evolving and expanding our capacity to navigate life's complexities.
Exactly, and Leung provides some practical tools for navigating this spiral staircase. One of them is what he calls the growth journal.
It's making me want to grab a notebook right now. What's the idea behind the growth journal?
It's a dedicated space for reflecting on your experiences, both big and small. Lim suggests using it to record your observations, insights, and the lessons you're learning along the way.
So it's not just a diary where you're recounting events, but a place to really delve into the meaning behind those events and how they're shaping you.
Precisely. It's about actively engaging with your experiences and extracting the wisdom they hold. And Leung encourages revisiting your entries periodically, noticing patterns in your growth, and celebrating how far you've come.
That's such a great idea. I can see how that would help you stay focused on the process of growth and not get discouraged when things inevitably get tough.
And remember, transforming struggles into opportunities for growth isn't about achieving some idealized version of perfection. It's about embracing the messy, imperfect journey of becoming the best version of ourselves. It's about those small daily choices to show up, to learn to grow, and to contribute to something larger than ourselves.
And to view those inevitable challenges not as setbacks, but as stepping stones on that spiral staircase leading us ever upward.
To wrap up, I'd like to leave you with one final thought from Leung's work that I find particularly powerful. He says, "The purpose of life is not to be happy. It is to be useful, to be honorable, to be compassionate, to have it make some difference that you have lived and lived well."
That's beautiful. And I think it really encapsulates everything we've explored today. It's not about seeking some fleeting sense of happiness, but about living a life that feels meaningful and purposeful. A life that leaves the world a little bit brighter than we found it. Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive. I hope you found this exploration of Victor Leung's work as insightful as I did.
Remember, you have the power within you to transform any struggle into an opportunity for growth. Embrace the journey, learn from your experiences, and never stop striving to become the best version of yourself.
Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time for another deep dive.